Welcome back to Two Wise Guys 5. My name is Patrick. Hey, I stutter, man. Two Wise Guys 5. My name is Patrick Sanchez.
Diction, enunciate.
Hey, whoa, what's with the D word?
Wise Guys 5. And I'm John Franquez. Here we are again to discuss a topic that my man wants to introduce, so go right ahead and introduce it.
We're going to talk about the Italian explorer Christopher Columbus. My man here is a guru, a thespian, and a doctorate in Christopher Columbus. And my question to you, Dr. Franquez, is Christopher Columbus a hero or a villain?
Okay, before I answer that, I'm not a doctor in social studies and anything like that, but I have done a lot of research on Christopher Columbus. Columbus, hero or villain? My personal opinion, which is going to sound like a cop-out, is neither. I think
it's a cop-out.
Okay, I say it's not a cop-out.
So you're saying he's a hero?
No, I'm not saying he's a hero. I'm saying he's neither hero nor villain, if you allow me. People that call Columbus a hero, I don't see any heroics. Now, were he and the other sailors courageous to go out into the ocean? Yes. I mean, if you look at it, if you see the movie Gravity, for example, I want to use that as an example.
Well, you really fast forward in the future, man.
Well, just to give you a point, when you see this Sandra Bullock and George Clooney out in space and they're hooking onto cables and stuff, and the cable comes loose and she floats out, if you were in that situation, that must be terrifying, to be out in space in a situation like that. Now, you're out in the unknown. Imagine that in those days, back in Columbus's days, to go conquer the ocean, where people would always sail close to the shore. They did venture out a little bit, discover an island, venture out a little bit more, discover another island, but basically they did not go out there to weather the ocean. So in that sense, these guys were courageous. Now, heroic? No. I think there's a lot of admirable qualities in Columbus. I think there are a lot of qualities that are just...
I mean, we have a holiday in his name.
I'll get to that. Well, you didn't ask about the holiday. You want to know if he's a hero or villain. Now, is he a villain? The reason I'm going to say no, even though he did some horrible things, under 21st century standards, Columbus, yes, is a villain. He's a barbarian, he's a villain, he's all of that by 21st century standards. But one example I want to point out.
You're saying by today's standards he's not?
He is.
Oh, by 21st.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, back in those days, yes, he enslaved the Indians.
He raped.
I'm going to use, he personally, as far as I've read a lot of books, he hasn't raped anybody I know of.
He's not going to write that down.
Okay. In other words, we don't know. We can't accuse a man of rape if we don't know if he raped anybody. Now, did the Spaniards rape? Yes, they did. Okay. Now, back on the subject though, Columbus, back in those days when he got to the Americas and he saw what he's going to call the Taínos, he called them Indians. One of the first things he wrote was these Indians would make good servants, and he meant slaves, good servants to the crown, which means he had slavery in mind from almost day one. But he wrote a letter to the Queen. And my thing is the fact that he felt open enough to write a letter to the Queen and say, we can make slaves of these people. And the Pope sanctioned slavery. The Pope had, there were 78 African slaves that were sent to Rome to serve the Pope from Africa before any of this. So it was the European mind, it was a completely different mind than what they have today. So if you put a person growing up in that environment, how much of a villain is he? You have to compare him to his times and compare to the men of his times to say whether he is a hero or a villain. You had a question about Columbus Day, though?
I had a question about why does the U.S. Celebrate Columbus Day when he really didn't discover anything in the U.S.?
Right. You're right. I agree. I say that there shouldn't be a Columbus Day honoring Columbus, not because of everything we said about his heroics or non-heroics, but because he's not an American. And
he didn't discover
the United States.
Exactly.
Now, yes, okay, someone's going to argue, well, no way, but he discovered America. He got to the Americas. Okay, real quickly, he didn't discover anything. These Indians were already here. And if somebody says, well, the Vikings, no. Even if you take the Vikings out of the picture, the Indians were here. He didn't discover anything. He's the first European that was recorded as to arrive in this area of the Americas, and he thought it was Asia. So, but let's just say he got to the Americas. It wasn't the U.S. The Columbus Day is a U.S. holiday. He never landed here.
Correct. Never hit American soil.
So you should say, well, why don't we put John Cabot or Ponce de Leon, etc.
Or America Vespuccia.
Well, there's reasons for that. But there should be, though, a day of remembrance, because I think 1492 changed everything.
Well, you used to mention some time ago it should be the holiday should, instead of Columbus, it should be Discovery Day, something along those lines.
Well, or
the day of the race. Races.
What I call it is the encounter instead of the discovery, because you can't discover something that's already there. You discovered it because I could walk down.
Well, you could use. I discovered. I opened this page. I discovered there's ants there. I discovered that there's something
exactly.
there.
So I can't call it a discovery. I would call it more an encounter of two civilizations that didn't, in the majority, did not realize the other civilization even existed. So you have two civilizations living side by side, divided by an ocean, and they come together. And because of Columbus, more voyages took place, a lot of trade took place, slavery, the ecosystem changed completely. I mean, I could go on and on. So we're still feeling the repercussions today. So yes, I think we should commemorate that day, and it could be a sad day because of the abuse that took place and pretty much genocide. I mean, the Indians were.
So was there a benefit to Columbus making his voyages? What did anyone benefit of besides the Spaniards? Obviously,
yes. I would say.
Was there a benefit for
the Europeans?
The Europeans,
yes, yes. I would say the Native Americans did not benefit. I think if the Native Americans would have come into trade with Europe and they started selling things back and forth, and everybody respected each other's territory, we'd be having a different conversation. But because the Europeans came over to take over, obviously it did not benefit the Native Americans. Now, some people would say, well, they got more civilized. I don't call that civilization. So, but I think a day of encounter would be a good thing to have.
All right, we're going to have to petition that to our local senators.
Let's do that. By the way, they do that in Latin countries. They have the Dia de las Razas,
That's
they call it.
The day of the ethnicities? Or
yes,
okay.
yes. Because if we have the Hispanics or Latinos.
What's up? You keep looking out.
I like looking out the window. They this is pretty much like a new race, like a mixture.
Right.
And that could be another topic for another day. Some people are against the word Latino per se. I'm not going to get into that right now. But I think there should be at least a commemoration. I don't think we should just forget 1492.
Oh, no, we can't.
We just have to at least discuss and talk about the encounter. And it's a very important milestone in world history. So
kids, hit your books or hit your Googles and look this up.
Right.
1492, an important time in our history.
Yeah, real quickly, by the way, Columbus never proved that the earth was round. And that the whole idea that they taught you in grade school that, the earth was flat, educated people back then didn't believe that. They knew the world was round, so forget that. Comment below, subscribe, and talk to us about it. We'll talk more. Anyway, I got nothing else.
I got nothing else. Columbus wasn't a villain or a hero, so he was a Mameluke. Is the way I say. But we got a day off because of him.
But we get a day off. We could do that.
Right.
Anyway, this is John Franklin.
I'm Patrick Sanchez.
Subscribe
to. What's our email again? twowiseguys5@gmail.com.
Oh, wait, hold it. You said subscribe. Subscribe to,
Two Wise Guys.
2wiseguys5. But email us at twowiseguys5@
gmail.com.
Give us your comments. Goodbye.
Bada bing.